The really fun thing about this season for me, and maybe for you as well, is that like we're going completely off book at this point. We're past the point of really any known knowledge about where this series is going, and so we can theorize about everything, every single episode. And my big theory that I had in this episode, looking at what Sansa is putting together, and also that second trailer that they released for the season, is I think that, you know, we are going to see Sansa not necessarily raise an army, but at least be a key part of the resistance in the north that's going up against the Boltons, and also a big part of like getting back Winterfell and facing against the Lannisters as well, but really looking at the Boltons going forward. Because I think what's interesting is in that trailer we see Davos going to the Mormonts, we see Brienne and Pod in River Run with the Tullys, which we now know that they are with Sansa, so I think we can imply that she is going to be there as well. And we also see this amazing shot of Sansa, you know, with this great like Stark dress on a horse in an open field. I'm putting together those pieces, and I think she's going to be like a huge player, especially given everything she's learned from Littlefinger and Cersei and everything before then, really getting into a position of power where she has a voice, and she is like one of the only Starks left that is in the public eye that actually can do something about these threats.
Yeah. I mean, it was Sophie Turner, right, who said that, you know, this season that fans would be getting the Sansa they've kind of been waiting for a while, right? And yeah, I think, you know, last year, I mean, that was the thing, was coming out of season 4 when we saw sort of dark Sansa and her kind of at Littlefinger's side, and seemed like she was really kind of like embracing the Game of Thrones in the sort of manipulation sense. And then of course just she went through misery, more misery than ever last season, and that was why it was really hard for a lot of people, myself included, that it was like we thought that we were kind of going one direction with her and we kind of went another, that was just to more dark places. I do think that this season, and I think that trailer certainly insinuates that it's like, yeah, she will truly, like Brienne kind of being her first night as it is, it's like that is the beginning. Like that is the beginning of really like Sansa being a true threat and like sort of player in all this now. You know?
And I also think the fact that we see Brienne and Pod at River Run, and I asked Sophie Turner about this recently, and I said, you know, are Brienne and Sansa a package deal now? And she said yes, and then I was like, so does that mean that she's with them at River Run? And she sort of took a step back. But I think if we're implying that, and then we also get this imagery of Walder Frey, I think she's going to finally get some freaking revenge for the Red Wedding. I think it's finally going to happen this season.
Me too, yeah. Seeing Walder Frey, that raised a lot of questions.
And she's like,
for
I'm
me.
going to get like revenge.
Yeah, and I think I hope it goes in that direction, because I think that would be super satisfying. And like you said, she's really kind of the only one in the position to right now. I mean, most of her siblings are dead. You know, Bran, who we haven't seen yet this season, but, you know, he's off in a very different place altogether.
Same with Rickon, we don't know where he is. Arya's in Braavos.
And Arya's in Braavos, and being directly told to not get involved.
Yeah.
So Sansa's really the only one in the thick of it. And yeah, it just seems like, just the way she's even holding herself in that trailer, it just seems like she is like, definitely sort of getting her power back, and maybe getting power she never even had before. And really kind of becoming the child of her parents, you know?
And I do wonder, you know, I brought up Davos being with the Mormonts, and that could be part of like that storyline we see beginning to be built, where you know, he is getting allies for them to help out at the Night's Watch as they're sort of backed into a corner with Jon's body. I thought he meant they would send them to get the wildlings. Maybe they are going to get the Mormonts, but I wonder if he will end up joining forces with that sort of group that they have with Sansa and whatever she's building, and whether we'll get them to come together by the end of the season.
I think that's very possible, because the one thing, of course, is that Sansa lacks is an actual army, right? You know, it's like, okay, great, Brienne's helping her, and like I said, I think that's the beginning of something, but now what? You know, they don't have a natural force to turn to. There is no, like, the Stark, force is gone, it's decimated.
And I think it would make sense, too, that she would be with, like, we see the Boltons fighting the wildlings, and then also we see a Mormont banner in there, which connecting all the dots there. I'm assuming that Davos is a part of that, but it would totally make sense for Sansa and whoever she is with to be fighting the Boltons as well and try and win back Winterfell.
Right, and then Theon being a big question, because we know we're going to see more of his family this season.
Yeah, is he going to go back to the Iron Islands, and that's going to be how we see his family, or is that going to be a separate storyline through Yara and his uncle Euron, who we know has been cast and is going to be introduced this season? season, in the King's Moot and everything that will come of that.
I think is, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves on, even though, yes, Sansa had this.
But it's so fun too.
All I was going to say is, Sansa got this great moment of triumph, but it is Game of Thrones and it's not going to be an easy road. So while it'd be easy to be like, yeah, Theon's going to get his family and they're going to team up and they're all going to kick ass together.
It's funny because I remember going back and talking to people who had just watched season 1, right? And we'd know then, Ned is going to get beheaded at the end of this season, but they were so optimistic about how he was going to come in the save of the day. I'm probably going to be looking back at from the finale to this being like, oh, Terri, you were so naive. Why didn't you know better, expecting all these amazing things?
No, it's hysterical. Matt Fowler and I talk about this a lot, even having coworkers here at IGN who hadn't read the books and being like, even after Ned got killed, then being like, oh, okay, so now Jon's going to leave and he's going to team up with Robb and they're going to get revenge, right? Yeah.
Game of Thrones stories that can never be.
It can never be. So that is our predictions mixed with our hopes. But what do you think? Do you think we're on the right track with Sansa? Do you think that this really is a very big new beginning and we're going to see Sansa really sort of take charge here and somehow build an army? And if they are, who will that army be made up of? So let us know in the comments your thoughts on that.